So we have JohanBo versus Tybalt. Tybalt was the host. Johan was the guest. So we have a pretty normal pie. We have Johan making an extension beyond the neutral to just one beyond the neutral, which is something that we're seeing a little bit these days. Tybalt is playing a one stack to the far, basically blocking the most peripheral line of sight of the recently placed stack. This is something that's also been happening recently. So this is kind of an interesting opening for me. And so you would expect now to white and red to both be worried about what happens with G10. If white plays there, there's an extra line of sight on G13. Of course, red can't play there now, but red needs to figure out what to do about that. So let's see how this works. At first, when I saw this move on M8, I thought it was a misclick because I thought for sure red would want to go to M7, one beyond the neutral again, and then maybe play two stack over here or something. I don't really know, but actually I think this is intentional because what he's trying to do, you'll see, he'll actually be trying to capture the neutral. So he just ignored. So you notice Johan just ignored the possibility of G10 for white. This is something I would have been really worried about, and so that's why I would not have played M8. Although it's not easy to find an alternative because essentially you're either preparing yourself to shield or preparing yourself to fight. So like instead of M8, I would have played like I don't know if I really would have done this, but I'm thinking like at least it moves like I13. Then when G10 is played, then G11 is a possible shield. But Johan took an interesting approach. Johan took the approach of attacking the neutral and saying, okay, you can have my one stack, but if you do that, I get the neutral. And so Tybalt was sufficiently spooked by this because he starts blocking lines of sight to the neutral. It's not just a blocking. I mean, also this move puts a line of sight on M13 and J13. So if you have a J13, stone on J13, then M13 will fall. But this also temporarily thwarts red's idea of placing the three stack on the neutral. And I think it does make sense because if red were to have this stone here and then white decided to do this later, then it can be immediately attacked, and it's not so easy for white to attack M13 then. So now you're putting a second line of sight, another line of sight. It's like a pinwheel on the neutral, yeah? And Johan's saying, okay, once you put a two stack next to a one stack, you're essentially saying, okay, you can capture my one stack, but the fact that you do that, it doesn't lose me very much anymore because I've already have backup. So like for instance, losing the one stack before this H13 was played versus losing the one stack after this H13 was played is a huge different story, because it's almost like when white captures here, G13, after H13 is played, it's like nothing was even captured because you already have a piece right next to it. Although, and on the other hand, if this G13 was captured previously to H13 being played, then, well, of course, H13 wouldn't even be a two stack, it'd be a one stack, and so it'd be much weaker. So Johan kind of makes the capture on G13 a little bit redundant in a way. So he continues blocking the neutral and gets a chance to defend. So this is super interesting. Johan spread all the way through the board. He didn't lose any stacks. He has this not super strong. I mean, here this is a strong link. Here this is a strong link, as in they can't be cut at the moment. This one is a kind of a weak link because it can be cut twice at the moment. But he's spread all around the board, and Johan's in a little line. In a big, I mean, it's kind of a big line. Okay. And he cuts. Yep. So you have to find a way to defend. And that's also the beauty about this move here. Not only does it protect G13, G12 also allows L12 to be a 2-stack. So it's not a crappy shield, it's a pretty good shield. And now we see Tybalt making a big triangle. A big triangle, pretty big, right? I mean, it's big enough that it's not, you can't really make a mesh. So that's my definition for big triangle. Okay. So what is Johan going to do? I mean, because going back here, at this point, it makes perfect sense for Tybalt to try to expand a framework, because the tactical interest in these locations are a bit reduced once Johan creates these adjacent stacks, which appear to be somewhat safer. So Johan now is attacking back, counterattacking, saying, look, this needs to be addressed. K13 is, you just, he's basically saying you just wasted a move with K13 because I'm going to capture it. Let's see. And if he is able to defend K13, then K10 becomes a possible target. For instance, a move like L11 then makes this capture inevitable, because L11 makes a shield here a suicidal move. So he blocks, and does he do L11? No, he doesn't do L11. He definitely, attacks, and attacks while developing, so it's nice. And instead, Tybalt is now... Hello, who's in the chat?
Hi, I'm Test.
Hey, Test. So I'm on move 18. Tybalt just played N13, and this move is attacking M13, but it's kind of a trade, apparently, offering a trade with K10. No, it's not. It's not, because it's the third line of sight on K10. So I wonder if it's possible for Johan to do something similar. For instance, N14 would be kind of a similar... And he didn't do that. He was so focused on... I mean, now Johan's offering the trade. He says, okay, you can capture M13, but I will get K10. So does it work like this? No. He continues putting extra lines of sight on K7, but in the form of shield, meaning that Johan's free to capture. Does he do it? Yes. Okay. So now Tybalt has Sente. And yeah, now he's counterattacking the K12. Oh my god. The very stone that was a counterattack on K13 is now being counterattacked after it has tried really hard to attack K10. And now it doesn't look so easy. I mean, okay, you can play K11 and defend. Do you do that? Yep. Johan played K11. And does Tybalt persist? No. He doesn't bother with this because probably he feels that he's surrounded this area already. And he plays this attachment on G2. G2, it's not easy for red to defend by just adding an extra line of sight, so a shield must be played, I think, if you want to keep this stone in play. So he doesn't really bother because he just counterattacks. This is something that I don't really know how to do so well, is to do counterattacks. But I guess I'm guessing he just didn't value the position after you put a shield up with this from this piece on H3.
What would be a good shield, like F3?
Let's see, F3. I'm thinking about F3 because of course, yeah, G3 is suicidal. E3.
But you still get G3, like you have white has G3 for a 2, and then you can do anything.
That's true. Actually, it's a 4-stack.
So it's hard to defend H3.
That's true. So then he chooses to, just counterattack. And in this case, instead of um, instead of just simply capturing, and because the thing is, this h7 move doesn't really defend k7. I mean, it's still possible to just capture k7 at this point for red. So I wonder why h7. Because he also could have captured h3 directly.
Yeah, but h3 is safe for him. Like, he can capture anytime he wants.
Mm-hmm.
Now that he has 3 versus 1.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Although maybe he can be forced to capture, like with h6 reply, you have to capture because then it's 2-2.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any way for red to turn that into a nasty Aji. So then he captures. Okay. He captures, and Tybalt continues playing k9. So this must be a shield. I think the idea is to make a shield. Yep. Yep, that's a shield. Okay. And then now Johan's playing h6, exactly what you recommended or that you kind of suggested was a possibility. So this prompts, I think, a capture. Let's see if we get a capture. No. We don't get a capture. We get I7. I7. Oh, because not only does h6, h6 was also a attack. So this is the kind of Ajis that. So yeah, the reason why we didn't get a capture was because Tybalt wanted to save k9. So okay, so we have this shield, and finally the shield that completely saves h3. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe it's a little bit backfired not capturing h3.
Maybe capturing. I mean, I think I would have captured a3, um, but you never know, like how these things would have turned out. Okay, so maybe I'll just catch up to the current position because we're pretty close. Yeah. So e4 is played. I don't really know why this move is played. I want to. I want to see. I want to always be able to offer a reason. This. It does look like white may just be defending its like white's prospective moyo or territory. Just
yeah, I would guess that, but there are always so many things happening. You are not sure if this is doing something else also.
Yeah.
But I would guess it's a defending move.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get adding another line of sight in. I think red wants to capture g2 here and also set up a potential attack on g10 with his 33rd move on g5. And so white defends the one stack with a shield. And then red cuts between the shield and the target once again. I've seen this a couple times now. And now this one stack on g2 is pretty dead. And probably also with a single extra move, g4 will be pretty dead. Unless white does some pretty harsh attacking on g5 right now. So yeah, this is pretty good double attack. This f4 it was played on move 36, and it is a double attack on e3. E3 looks very dead, and g5 now is under dire attack. So g6 is not a shield. It's not possible to capture any of these, but g8 looks like a possible shield. G8, is g8 played? No, he gives up. He gives up this one, so I'm sure Tybalt captures, and I think we're now in the current position. So after Tybalt captures, Johan has also going to capture a pretty adjacent stack. I mean, I think is forcing a capture on G4, but I don't really think that that's so much important. Although it does save, yes, it is kind of important because otherwise this apple picking starting on E3 would also capture F3. But since H4 is played, then G4 will be captured, and then that will make F3 safe. But you know what? I wouldn't do it like that, I think. I would probably do something else, like H5 or a different move which is not a 4 stack really, but is still ensuring the inevitable capture of G4. Like, it's possible to go all the way. Well, maybe it's not so possible to go back so distantly. I6, a 2 stack on I6. Um, K8. I don't know. Maybe it was actually not only possible this way. So if so, yeah, exactly. I thought if red has the shield, then he begins to attack f4, prompting a recapture from Tybalt. So which will also prompt a recapture from Johan on g4. I think this whole sequence will just play out right now. Yeah, but actually, Tybalt can still capture f3 if e2 is played, and it's really no good way to protect it. But it looks pretty small.
Yeah, it's not that big probably, but I don't know if there are any big plays.
It does.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this three, what is this, H11?
Mm-hmm.
It threatens a double attack on J11. I don't know if he will play it, but I saw this like a long time ago. If you get another line of sight on J11, then you can play it, and the two twos are in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And if you lose one, you will lose the other probably too. So, like when your two is surrounded by four, then it's difficult to.
Yeah. I wonder.
I don't know if. Sorry.
Oh no, like he could have actually captured f4 in response to that double attack from h11. So f11 could have been saved temporarily by capturing f4, but then I guess a move like f7 would be played anyway, and then it would just be pointless. Yeah. So what were we saying? He's just gonna let. Okay, so I think that it's pretty cool what's going on right now because he's giving up some stacks on this 11th row, but getting a lines of sight and potential invasion points like on d6, make a 2 stack on d6 to undercut some of White's territory sounds like an okay trade.
Where do you think you undercut red?
D
Like at the bottom?
d6. Oh, where do you think undercut red or white? I mean white.
Yeah, I get it. That I can see where you can attack white, but where you can attack red. Like white, you can attack at the d6 square, for example.
So sorry. How can you explain what you were saying right now?
So red can attack at d6 and start chipping away white's territory.
Yeah.
And you said that white did this in return for getting some initiative some other way.
Right. I think basically on the 11th row, there's these dead red 2 stacks like F11 and K11, and while white was attacking red in that way, like reducing him, red was trying to get inside the moyo on the through attacking the very leftmost part of the wall. But it looks like it failed a bit. I mean, he's in, actually. So this is going to be really interesting because we have these stacks. They need to survive for this to work. I mean, now we get another possible... Oh, no longer. I was thinking before a 2 stack on F8, but that's gone. That possibility's gone. You know, what's strange is we don't often see a situation where, you know, somebody really surrounding an area intentionally,
like completely blocking out the enemy.
Yeah, like really pays off so well, so early.
Yeah, like the last defensive moves are very slow, so it doesn't hurt. You have to let the enemy in and fight it out.
Yeah.
At least that's my understanding.
Yeah.
And it's easy to get in like these long range stacks.
I mean, but despite the fact that Johan's in, it looks like all of his stones are almost dead. So H6 is dead. D6 can be captured anytime. And by extension...
This is one thing that I have difficulty understanding or intuitively feeling, that if someone has a loose area, and I play inside and I have a couple of stones there, how much potential they have, because sometimes they just die very easily, and sometimes you can ruin the whole moyo.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really confusing for me too. I think that the fact that Johan gave up so early, I mean, I think this is still early. I don't think he is necessarily losing, you know? In fact, it
depends on the top left if he can make something there, but there are potentials, like, for example, like starting with D1 and getting inside another time, or A8.
And yeah, even just capturing G2, and also starting with D4, or maybe D1, D4, D4.
Yeah, G2 is better than what I said.
Or A8 or A1, just getting like 1 stacks in there that can kind of temporarily increase the lines of sight.
Because it's not easy for white to kill off if you have empty lines like A and B. Like red starts to play on the A and B line, it's very difficult to get. You can't get more than 2 line of sight in those lines if you are not there.
Exactly. If A8 is played, and then that's actually threatening to capture the neutral.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that this was a really early resignation, actually, because even if Even
Okay.
if Tybalt gets
I
this
don't.
territory, maybe Johan could still get a lot of territory, and like the point difference is not so much right now.
I'm trying to think if I would choose red here, but I'm not saying I would, but maybe. It, it doesn't seem that bad
Doesn't seem
for
that
me,
bad.
but maybe I don't see something that Johan does.
I think resignation happens too early in every game this tournament so far. When we get alpha tumble, 10 years from now, we can see what the perfect continuation of these games will be.
Yeah, but in this situation, probably AI can give a good guess too.
You think so?
We just can't import it. Someone has to click it through.
You know,
Or
if it was a size 6 game, I would be inclined to agree. But I still think on size 8 it's a bit too complicated for AI. But I haven't tested it really so much. I have played.
okay. I base all my guesses on the 6x6 which I played. I didn't play 8x.
It's a lot weaker, but I mean, if we start the position from a pretty advanced, like 55 moves in, then technically,
Yeah, here probably not that much play left. Like we have like a 6x6 starting position. Like we are halfway at the end.
right? That's the possibility that I'm considering. But actually, Johan says it was a very good opening move. I need to study starting theory more. But actually, I think your opening was not bad. Your opening was tricky, actually.
I really like. We didn't talk about it, but I really liked when he attacked the neutral at the beginning.
You like what?
I will say the move. It's like H9, H13.
Yeah, yeah, I like this move a lot too.
And if I play, I probably just capture the one, the J13, and he takes the middle, and then it's bad for white, probably.
Yeah,
But Tybalt wasn't fooled by this trick.
right. Tebow, I hear you laughing in the distance.
Oh, you can hear me, guys.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, no, I was not sure. Actually, as I was thinking you were streaming, I wanted to watch. So you are Johan?
What? No, I don't think Johan's in the chat right now.
If the person, I don't understand if the person talking is Johan or not.
No.
No, I'm not Johan. I'm
No, okay.
Test
No, okay.
6.
Because you said Thibaut was not full, so yeah.
Yeah, it's Alec here in Test. What's your first name,
Alec,
Test?
I know your voice. Is testing QWERTY, actually?
No, Test 654.
No, I'm another
Same
test.
person.
It's a bit confusing.
Okay.
I should have chosen another name.
D10 move was a strong start. Yeah, I agree. D10 was a strong start. As red without getting locked in. No.
Yeah, so this kind of looks like, when we had this MSO tournament, someone posted a position and said, I don't like this position as red. And it feels similar because when I take like D10, there is no way for red to put a second line of attack on D10.
Yeah.
And that's what I kind of like.
Yeah.
That's why I dislike, actually, I always have G13 I dislike.
I think maybe I would start with red at I9.
Yeah, classic. Yeah.
Because if you can do the line attack, then it seems good. But I'm just a bit biased, you know.
Yeah, I see. I was planning to play actually M8 also as red, like in the opening you mentioned. To take the H, the I8 response from, yeah, the I8 response in case of I9.
So okay, let's look at that. So say you play first red M8, and then what? White plays what?
Somehow like extends on the on the left, for example, like to D10
Okay.
or E10 or something like that.
And then you
And
play
then you can play
J10.
I9,
Oh, I9, yeah.
I9 without the block at I8 being possible. Somehow similar idea to the thing you posted,
Yeah, a
that I
little bit
played once
similar.
against you.
I'm trying to because it's not exactly the same, but
No, it's not exactly the same.
but I can see how it translates.
You reminded me of it, so that's why I played this. But I didn't have a. They took red. Now people know that you always have to take red.
Yeah, but I guess still not. But you know what's interesting about the whole opening is, despite the possibilities that there was some captures, early captures, still Johan managed to defend it all, and after move 11, looks pretty good.
After move 11?
Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
pretty safe cluster on the lower left, and then spread out on the right side.
I think it's very difficult to judge this kind of position, actually. I think I like white, but it's difficult to say why, actually. I think white controls more lines of sight. Well, you can see actually territory is in favor of white after move 11.
Yeah.
But somehow these kind of lines, they spread out to a very big region, and I kind of like it. I've discovered this somehow heuristic.
Hmm.
It's a stupid thought, but if you have two stones, okay,
Yeah.
like for example, go to move 4 when I play D10.
Yeah.
Then I can of course make a 2 at D3.
Yes, of course.
And it's super cool to make a 2. But how many new lines of sight does this open?
Right. Not as much.
It opens only the horizontal line.
Yes.
So like 2. Don't think about the length. But any 2 stack in between the two ones opens 4 lines of sight.
True.
So that's why I kind of like this idea of playing in a line.
Interesting.
Because it opens in more directions somehow.
Yeah.
If you play in between the two, you are saving lines of sight instead of using them. You're using only 1 to play your new stack, so it opens 4. Well, you're using 2 actually.
This is interesting, but we have to consider also the strengthening, like the amount of lines of sight that you have on each line of sight.
Yeah, it's true. So if you do this, you don't reinforce your stones. It's a balance. If you play a triangle, then you suddenly have 1 more line of sight on the 2 existing stacks. So it's more defensive. But if you want to spread out quickly, I think I like this idea of playing in the line. So I played 5 times in a line.
Yeah, exactly. You really did. I mean, it seemed to yeah, it seemed to be a pretty powerful tool. He says, Johan says, never thought that such a small move would be that powerful in a start. I was only considering going around the circle in the other direction. So Oh my god, my battery. My computer's dying out.
Oh, he's talking about I9.
Right.
Yeah. The I9 is the same idea. I mean, it spreads out. Well, it's the same. It's different, but it spreads out on both sides.
But it's kind of magic. Why the line attack feels powerful to me.
Yeah, it's somehow not intuitive.
Yeah. But what?
I think maybe people coming from Go have this idea of spreading in the corners, like Johan did, like I have a 1 in this corner, a 1 in this corner, a 1 in this corner.
Yeah.
So I don't say it's bad, but I don't think it's the only way to think.
No, I agree. I think the line, if you can play basically everywhere that you need on the board, if you just have your starting position in such a way that it temporarily increases the number of lines of sight that you have tremendously, and then later you go back and save or like strengthen what is necessary.
Yeah.
Or you don't need to strengthen if you already can play everywhere. You can really attack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But somehow some people play in a very thick way, and they manage to eventually get so much power that they can do everything.
Yeah.
I'm more the stretchy balancing guy. Like, this is a 1, it's fine. This is a 2, it's fine. We'll see.
You really. At what point did you begin to really start focusing on the left quadrant, upper left quadrant of the board?
So somehow I felt that I messed up a little after H2. I was happy that I could take H3. Let me find back H2. But I mean, it was in my mind that this left would become big at some point. So now I'm looking at move around move 25. So yeah, I played G2. Sorry, G2, not H2. Mm-hmm. G2 at move 24. Yeah, I think the left is gonna be big now.
This was your estimation by G2.
But I didn't. I wasn't sure. I mean, probably if I was red, I would try to play there, like immediately, like A6 or something like that.
Right, and maybe L7. Maybe there's a move, that attacks L7 while still. Yeah, I think A6 looks like a really nice invasion at this point.
Yeah, it opens 2 lines. It's a 2 stack. It's gonna be difficult to kill it.
Yeah, it's on the edge.
Question is, it's how much white is going to build around this stone. Actually, you're not going to try to kill it. Question is, maybe A6, and then you cut with D6, and you try to make some points in the middle and build some more influence to attack the right.
An alternative to A6, which I don't know if I like any better, but maybe I don't like it any better, but E6 is also a possibility to be played.
E6, yes.
And this one looks like it links up with so many different possible.
Well,
but A6 is safer, I think.
To kill, and I like it because it opens E10.
Yeah, exactly. But A6 also opens E10.
Yeah, that's right, actually. Right.
Well.
So I don't think I was really focusing on making a big territory on the left at this point.
Okay.
But then after Johan played move 29, which I felt compelled still to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, answering is very big. And then e3, move 31.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I might have missed a tempo in the upper right corner, and I should have captured at some point. I should have
I agree.
used the fact that I had 3 line of sights on this stack.
I was
So
surprised
I was not super happy.
Yeah, I was surprised that Johan was able to save that stack.
Yeah. So I really I should go through the sequence, but I feel like I lost the tempo. I should not have.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then e4 was natural, and then it kind of feels like something is going to happen in this left.
Yeah. So then at this point,
and when he defended with g5, I was super happy that I could play g4. This was the move. I think it saves me. Otherwise, it might become very big. This upper right corner.
Yeah.
But g4, I don't see what you can do. You can build, you can defend, get thick, but white is gonna get thick and white is gonna get more on the left than red is getting on the right, I think.
Maybe instead of g5, a6 also would have been another opportunity to just invade.
Yeah, maybe it's the time. Yeah, say, hey, for now, e3 is in the balance, but maybe e3 was an anchor, as would say Michal.
What's
it's
the
to get there?
What does Michal say is an anchor?
What I just looked at it. I think it's just something you put somewhere to get ground. It's gonna get eaten eventually, but you get ground from it.
Ah, okay.
Or was it? I'm not sure.
I've never seen that page before, so but I did read like in the list of concepts. One was called anchor, and I hadn't seen that before.
I think that's what it says. I don't know if I would call it that way, but
I was thinking, if I was going to think of an anchor in Tumbleweed, it would be some kind of stack that's on the edge. That's like the beginning of a wall or something.
Yeah. I don't think the terminology anchor is actually good. You should think more something like a dropout, a drop in, or something like this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anchor feels like something solid which is in place and won't move, which is exactly the opposite of what he means. So I don't know.
Right.
So he says an anchor is a stack placed into a potentially vulnerable, though not outright suicidal position. Contrary to an invasion, an anchor isn't meant to survive very long. Instead, it is used to create additional lines of sight and place stronger stacks elsewhere.
It's meant to in a context of an invasion.
I don't know.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or not an invasion, or a way to get inside some territory, to get some entrance point. I mean, my basic idea is you place a 1 somewhere.
Right.
Crazy, but it opens a new lines of sight, which allows you to place a 2 in the other corner or something like that.
Yeah.
Then the 1 you don't care about.
Right. Yeah. I remember Hootie a long time ago. Hootie a long time ago had a name for that. It's called "Message in a Bottle," but it's a bit also not. It's not super descriptive either. It's just more like poetic.
No.
Because just imagine like the bottle like floating in there, like floating in the ocean, like it's totally screwed itself, but then something can pop out of it.
Maybe a Trojan horse.
That's interesting. A Trojan.
They're not meant to survive. They're there to open the door.
Yeah. The Trojan horse is interesting because it's very succinct, and it does thematically feel accurate.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea if it sticks.
Yeah. All right, guys.
So yeah, in our game, basically, I'm gonna go soon. Yeah, I must just say, in our game, basically, after G4 and the sequence after G4, then I kind of felt like this left side is gonna do everything.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I kind of messed up tactically because he could capture it a few times.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had this fight in the upper right, which, like, I think ended up being advantageous for your Moyo to continue on. But still, after everything is over, like after the fight is over, and you get this move on H11, which Test and I were talking about.
Oh yeah.
That like basically he uses that as an opportunity to kind of try to undercut your wall, which does kind of work, but then ultimately it doesn't seem to matter so much.
Yeah, I know. So basically, when I played move 40, I knew he would play a shield here, and I knew it would snipe at my F4.
Yeah, but that's a snapback.
So I defended, and then he captured, and he could still capture it.
Oh, it's not a snapback.
Didn't realize that. So I played H11, and yeah, it's a snapback, but it removes some point. I mean, it costs me point because I can play E2 for free and capture more and then enter. If he captures, then I lose a tempo to play E2. So it has some value anyway.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why. When I realized it, I played this strange F7 when I should just capture F11. So I was just wrong tactically, but it didn't matter because I was too. My position was too strong. I could mess up a little bit, but it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. This is what Test was saying when he said that you have a 2-stack surrounded by. Oh no, wait, no, never mind. You didn't have it surrounded by 4, but anyway, yeah, you had tons of lines of sight.
It was too difficult. And after he tried to do something on the bottom left, well, more on the left now, with D11 and D10, then the bottom left is almost dead. So he was right to resign, I think, even though the score is actually like just 4.4 estimator.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely have played this out. I would not have resigned in that position. This to me seems just too early. I mean, because still.
Did you feel that the top left side is safe for you?
Yeah, now somehow, yes, I think it's very difficult to do something. So he can capture F4, then I can lock.
Yeah, capturing F4 is not going to be the first move. The first move. Yeah?
Yeah, go on, like A1 or A8 are the one. For example, we talk about A8 because it threatens the neutral and also gets inside.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these kind of because we have the Trojan horse in there. They're all dead stones, yes. But A8 and A1, they work together, and it looks like there could be some surviving stones. If red survives a little bit on the left side, then the right side looks fairly safe for red.
I think it's still not enough because everything like in G12 is going to die soon. If you capture G12, then everything dies. Now there is some points around K11 and K12 which are almost certain for white. If the loss was too big on the bottom left, if he could take care of the bottom left and then invade, then maybe. But in this situation, I agree, I would still play and try to make the biggest mess possible.
Yeah.
I agree, I was expecting him to still play. But I understand the feeling that, okay, this is enough.
Yeah.
But Fighting Spirit says you should play